This video is about the widow was mocked but a rich woman made her a manager. If this story inspires you, please like the video, share it with loved ones, and write in the comments how it touched your heart. In the small town of Eldridge, where the winds often whisper tales of both despair and dreams, a widow named Clara lived her life with a quiet dignity. Every morning, she opened her weathered window, allowing the sunlight to dance across her modest kitchen. She took solace in the sounds of life outside her door, the laughter of children, the chirping of birds, and the occasional clatter of carts. Yet beneath her calm exterior lay a heart burdened by loss. Clara had not always been alone. Just 2 years prior, her husband Thomas had been her anchor, a gentle soul with a knack for finding beauty in the mundane. They had built a life together, woven with love, laughter, and shared aspirations. But one fateful winter night, when the world was blanketed in snow, Thomas had succumbed to an unexpected illness, leaving Clara adrift in a sea of grief. The days that followed had been a blur of sorrow and solitude. Clara found herself navigating the world without the guiding light of her partner. Every corner of their home reminded her of shared memories, from the faint echo of Thomas's laughter to the warmth of his embrace. Though she longed for his presence, she was determined not to let despair consume her. She would carry on his legacy. Yet the reality of life as a widow was harsher than she had anticipated. Clara struggled to make ends meet. Her small savings dwindled, and the once bustling flower shop they had owned had become an overwhelming reminder of her loss. Each day she would find herself standing behind the counter, arranging the delicate blooms that had once brought joy to her and Thomas. "Clara, are you ever going to let go of that place?" a neighbor called as she passed by one afternoon, her voice dripping with condescension. "You can live in the past forever." Clara forced a smile, but her heart ached. She had heard similar remarks from many in town, their words laced with judgment and misunderstanding. Some had been well-meaning, while others were plain cruel, relishing in the idea of her downfall. Yet Clara held her chin high, reminding herself that resilience was her greatest gift. One afternoon, as Clara was arranging a bouquet of daisies, a shadow fell across the shop. She looked up to see a woman standing in the doorway, her presence striking and regal. The stranger, dressed in a tailor's suit and exuding an air of confidence, surveyed the shop with keen eyes. "Good afternoon," the woman said, her voice warm yet commanding. "I am Isabella Sinclair. I've been looking for a floral shop that understands the language of flowers." Clara felt a flutter of excitement. "Welcome, Miss Sinclair. How can I assist you?" "I need arrangements for an upcoming charity event," Isabella replied, her gaze locking onto Clara's. "I've heard your flowers are special." In that moment, Clara saw a spark in Isabella, a kindred spirit who had also faced life's trials. She listened intently as Isabella spoke about her work, a successful entrepreneur who had turned her own struggles into triumphs. Clara's heart swelled with admiration. "I can help with your event," Clara offered, her voice steady with newfound hope. As the two women collaborated on the arrangements, Clara shared stories of each flower's significance, how daisies represented innocence and loyalty, while roses stood for love and passion. Isabella was captivated, not just by the flowers, but by Clara's spirit. "You have a gift, Clara," Isabella said, her eyes twinkling. "You understand the heart of this art. Would you consider taking on a larger role in my charity? I need someone like you to manage the floral arrangements for the entire event." Clara's heart raced. "You want me to be a manager?" Isabella nodded. "Yes, I believe in your talent. This could be a chance for you to not just survive, but to thrive." The offer felt surreal, like a dream emerging from the shadows of Clara's grief. She hesitated, doubts creeping in like unwelcome guests. "But I've never managed anything on that scale. I don't know if I am capable." "Of course you are," Isabella insisted, her voice firm yet encouraging. "You've been managing your grief and running this shop. You possess the strength to handle anything life throws at you." In that moment, Clara felt a flicker of hope igniting within her. Could this be her chance to redefine her life? As Isabella spoke passionately about the community impact of the charity, Clara's spirit began to awaken, fueled by a desire to contribute and grow. "I'll do it," Clara said, her voice steady, surprising even herself. "I want to help." Isabella's face lit up. "Wonderful. Let us meet again tomorrow to discuss the details." As the sun dipped below the horizon, Clara closed the shop with a sense of renewal. The words of kindness from a stranger had breathed life into her weary heart. It was a reminder that even in the darkest times, hope could emerge from unexpected places. But as Clara stepped outside, the whispers of judgment from the townsfolk echoed in her ears. They would mock her for taking on a new challenge, for daring to step out of her comfort zone. Yet she resolved to rise above it. Their words would not define her path. That evening, Clara sat by the window, watching the stars twinkle in the vast night sky. She envisioned her future, the possibilities stretching before her like the horizon. It would take courage, resilience, and hard work, but she felt an ember of hope glowing within. She was ready to embrace this new chapter. As the days turned into weeks, Clara and Isabella formed a partnership grounded in mutual respect and shared values. Clara poured her heart into every arrangement, embracing the challenge with a fierce determination that surprised her. She learned to delegate, to trust others, and to recognize her own strengths. Isabella became a mentor, guiding her through the intricacies of managing an event, but also encouraging her to remain true to her artistry. Trust your intuition, Clara, she would say. Your heart knows the way. With each passing day, Clara's confidence blossomed. The townsfolk began to notice her transformation. Although some still whispered, many offered words of encouragement, their perceptions shifting as they witnessed her dedication. Clara was no longer just the widow, she was a woman reclaiming her life. However, hurdles remained. Clara faced setbacks, flowers that wilted unexpectedly, miscommunication with vendors, and moments of self-doubt that threatened to overwhelm her. Yet with each challenge, she drew strength from within and the support of Isabella, who believed in her even when she faltered. Clara, you are not defined by what you've lost, Isabella reminded her gently one evening as they prepared for the event. You are defined by how you rise. As the charity event approached, Clara found herself standing at a crossroads. She could feel the weight of the past, the echoes of laughter that once filled her home intertwining with the joy of new beginnings. She longed for Thomas's presence, wishing he could see how far she had come. On the night of the event, Clara stood in the elegantly adorned hall, the floral arrangements reflecting the beauty she carried in her heart. As guests arrived, she felt a sense of pride washing over her. This was her moment, and she would embrace it fully. Isabella approached her, a proud smile on her face. Look at what you've accomplished, Clara. You've turned your pain into purpose. As the evening unfolded, Clara engaged with the guests, sharing the stories behind each flower. Laughter filled the air, and for the first time in a long while, Clara felt a sense of belonging. It was as if Thomas was with her, encouraging her to embrace this new chapter. As she mingled, Clara caught a glimpse of a young girl, no older than 10, standing alone by the entrance. The girl looked lost, her eyes wide with wonder. Clara approached her, kneeling to meet her gaze. What is your name? Clara asked gently. Emily, the girl whispered, her voice trembling. Emily, would you like to help me with these flowers? Clara asked, her heart reaching out to the child. With a nod, Emily joined Clara, her eyes lighting up with excitement. Together, they arranged the flowers, sharing stories and laughter. In that moment, Clara felt the cycle of kindness return as she passed on her love for flowers to the next generation. As the night came to a close, Clara stood at the center of the hall, surrounded by people who admired her work. The applause thundered in her ears, a symphony of affirmation that resonated deep within her soul. She had transformed her grief into something beautiful, nurturing her spirit and those around her. In the days that followed, Clara continued to thrive, not just as a manager, but as a beacon of hope in her community. She dedicated a portion of her profits to help other widows and those struggling to find their footing. The same town that once mocked her began to celebrate her journey, recognizing her strength and resilience. As Clara reflected on her transformation, she realized that life had a way of surprising those who dared to dream. The loss of Thomas would always be a part of her story, but it no longer defined her. Instead, it had propelled her toward a future filled with possibility. In the end, Clara learned that the beauty of life lies in its unpredictability. With every flower she arranged, she nurtured not just Part 2, the seeds of change. In the aftermath of her successful charity event, Clara's life began to unfold in ways she had never imagined. Each day was a new chapter, filled with purpose and passion that propelled her forward. Yet, even in the glow of her newfound success, shadows of death sometimes crept in, whispering reminders of her past struggles. One crisp autumn morning, Clara stood in her small shop, surrounded by the vibrant colors of fall flowers. The sun streamed through the window, casting a warm glow on the petals. She was preparing for a new season of blooms, excited to embrace the upcoming holidays. Just as she began arranging a bouquet of chrysanthemums, the bell above the door jingled, announcing a visitor. "Good morning, Clara." It was Lila, one of the women from the town who had once been among the skeptical voices. Clara smiled, her heart a little lighter knowing that Lila had come to support her. "Good morning, Lila, what brings you in today?" Clara asked, dusting her hands on her apron. I came to see if you can create a centerpiece for my dinner party next week. I've seen your work at the charity, and I was truly impressed, Layla admitted, her cheeks slightly flushed. Clara's heart swelled, recognizing the significance of Layla's compliment. Of course, I'd be honored to help. Do you have a theme in mind? As they discussed colors and arrangements, Clara felt the weight of judgment lift. She realized that her transformation had begun to change perceptions, not just of her, but of grief and resilience itself. However, Clara's journey was not without its trials. Though she worked tirelessly, the pressures of managing her shop and the charity event sometimes felt overwhelming. One evening, after a long day, she sank into a chair, burying her face in her hands. Clara. Isabella's voice broke through the stillness of the room. You okay? I don't know if I can keep this up, Isabella, Clara admitted, her voice muffled. I love what I am doing, but sometimes I feel like I am drowning in responsibilities. Isabella came to sit beside her, resting a hand on Clara's shoulder. You're doing an incredible job. Remember, it is perfectly okay to ask for help. You don't have to carry everything alone. Clara looked at Isabella, who had become a steadfast friend and mentor. I know, but there are moments when I feel like I am still just the widow from Eldridge. What if I can keep up the success? Success isn't just measured by how busy you are or the money you make. It is about the impact you have on others, Isabella said gently. You were already changing lives, Clara. Just look at Emily from the event. Her eyes lit up when you helped her. Clara thought of the little girl, her laughter ringing in her ears. You were right. I want to do more. And so, Clara decided to expand her vision. She organized flower arranging workshops for the local widows, inviting them to share their stories and heal together through creativity. The first workshop was held in the back of her shop with a small group of women hesitant but eager to find solace in flowers. Welcome, everyone. I am so grateful you're here, Clara began, her voice steady despite the butterflies dancing in her stomach. Today, we'll be creating something beautiful together, and I hope this space becomes a source of comfort for you all. The women exchanged uncertain glances, but as Clara walked them through the process of arranging flowers, the atmosphere shifted. They laughed and shared stories, the room filling with warmth and camaraderie. Clara watched as they transformed from quiet strangers into a community united by their shared experiences. After the workshop, one of the women, Ruth, approached Clara. Thank you for today. I've been feeling so lost since my husband passed. This helped more than I can express. Clara's heart swelled with gratitude. You're welcome, Ruth. You're not alone in this journey. We're here for each other. The workshops became a regular occurrence, drawing in more women from Eldridge. Clara reveled in the joy of teaching them, witnessing the way flowers could spark hope and healing. With every arrangement, the women began to reclaim their lives, slowly stitching together the pieces of their hearts. But with success came new challenges. As demand grew, Clara faced logistical nightmares. She would often find herself awake at night, her mind racing with thoughts of inventory, orders, and the fear of letting down her community. One late evening, as she sorted through orders, frustration bubbled to the surface. Why is it so hard? She muttered to herself, her hands trembling with exhaustion. Just then, the bell above the door jingled again. Clara turned to find Isabella standing there, concern etched across her face. Clara, are you still working? It is almost midnight. Isabella exclaimed, stepping closer. I am trying to catch up, but it feels like I am running in place, Clara confessed, her voice a mix of exhaustion and frustration. I don't want to disappoint anyone, especially the women who are counting on me. Isabella stepped forward, grabbing Clara's shoulders gently. It is time to bring in some help. You are spreading yourself too thin. Let us hire a few part-time helpers. You need time to breathe. Clara hesitated, the fear of losing control creeping in. But Isabella's unwavering belief in her abilities ignited a spark of courage. You're right. I just need to trust that it is okay to share the load. The next day, Clara posted job openings, and within weeks she welcomed 2 young women eager to learn. The shop buzzed with energy as they helped with arrangements, deliveries, and customer interactions. Clara felt the weight lift off her shoulders, realizing she no longer had to do everything alone. As she trained her new employees, Clara found herself reflecting on the lessons she had learned throughout her journey. She remembered the darkness of her grief and how far she had come by embracing vulnerability. It was during this time she discovered the importance of lifting others as she climbed. One sunny afternoon, while arranging a new shipment of flowers, Clara received a phone call from Isabella. Clara, I have an idea. What if we host a community event to celebrate the women who have joined your workshops? Clara's eyes lit up. That's brilliant. We could showcase their arrangements and share their stories. Yes, let us create a space where they can shine, and we'll invite the entire town, Isabella suggested enthusiastically. The preparations for the event began immediately. Clara and her team worked tirelessly, turning the shop into a vibrant gallery of blooming artistry. They called it Blooming Together, a celebration of resilience and community. As the day of the event approached, Clara felt a mix of excitement and nerves. Would the community come to support the women who had once felt invisible? Would they recognize the strength that lay within each arrangement? On the day of the event, Clara stood in her shop, heart racing as guests began to arrive. The warmth of the sun spilled in through the windows, and laughter filled the air. Clara could hardly believe how far she had come, surrounded by women who had once been strangers but were now like family. As she moved through the crowd, she noticed Ruth standing proudly by her arrangement, a stunning display of sunflowers and wildflowers. I am so grateful for this opportunity, Clara. I never thought I could create something so beautiful, Ruth said, tears glistening in her eyes. Look at what you've accomplished. You are beautiful, inside and out, Clara replied, heart swelling with pride. Throughout the evening, each woman shared her story and the journey of healing she had embarked on. The community listened, and Clara felt the barriers of judgment begin to crumble as empathy filled the room. When it was Clara's turn to speak, she felt a rush of emotion. Standing in front of her community, she took a deep breath. 2 years ago, I was lost in grief, struggling to find my way, but with your support and the strength of these incredible women, I have learned that together, we can bloom even in the darkest of times. The applause that followed was thunderous, echoing through the shop. Clara felt tears prick her eyes, not from sadness, but from a profound sense of connection and love. As the event came to a close, Clara looked around at the smiling faces, from the townsfolk who once mocked her to the women whose lives she had touched. In that moment, she understood the beauty of resilience and the power of an open heart. Days turned into weeks, and Clara continued to flourish, embracing the journey of life as it unfolded. She had transformed her pain into purpose and created a community that thrived on kindness and support. One quiet evening, sitting at her window, Clara reflected on her journey. Thomas's memory still danced in her heart, but she no longer felt the weight of loss. Instead, she felt gratitude for the love they had shared and the way it had led her to discover her own strength. With each flower she arranged, she nurtured not just the blooms, but the spirit of resilience that blossomed within her. Clara knew that she was no longer just the widow from Eldridge. She was a symbol of hope, a reminder that even in the face of adversity, a human spirit could rise again, stronger and more beautiful than ever. As winter arrived in Eldridge, the town transformed into a wonderland of glistening snow and twinkling lights. Clara's flower shop, once a shrine to grief, had evolved into a vibrant hub of joy and creativity. The crisp air carried the scent of pine and cinnamon, mingling with the delicate fragrances of Clara's floral arrangements, a testament to her hard work and resilience. Inside the shop, Clara was busy preparing for her first holiday workshop, designed to create festive wreaths and centerpieces. She had invited the women from her previous workshops, excited to share this new experience with them. The walls were adorned with garlands of greenery, and the tables were loaded with ornaments, ribbons, and fresh flowers. It had become a gathering place, a community space pulsating with life. "Clara, this place looks amazing," Leela exclaimed, stepping inside with a handful of pine cones. "Thank you, Leela. I wanted to create a warm atmosphere for our holiday workshop," Clara replied, her heart swelling with joy. "I can't wait to see everyone's creativity unfold today." As the other women began to arrive, Clara felt a familiar flutter of nervous excitement. The laughter and chatter filled the shop, each woman bringing her unique spirit. It was a stark contrast to the quiet solitude that had once engulfed her life. "Happy holidays, everyone," Clara greeted, her voice ringing with enthusiasm. "Today, we'll create wreaths that capture the essence of this beautiful season. Let us infuse them with our stories and shared memories." As Clara walked them through the process, she noticed Ruth working diligently on her wreath, her fingers skillfully weaving in red berries and silver ribbons. Clara approached her, kneeling beside her table. "Ruth, look at how you've rearranged those berries. It is stunning." Clara praised, her voice warm. "Thank you, Clara. I never thought I could do something like this," Ruth replied, her smile radiant. "This workshop has given me a reason to smile again." Clara felt a rush of pride. She had seen Ruth transform from a woman burdened by sorrow into someone who exuded confidence and creativity. It was moments like these that made all the struggles worthwhile. As the workshop continued, Clara spotted a newcomer hesitantly lingering at the entrance. A young woman, perhaps in her mid-20s, stood with a hesitant smile, her eyes scanning the room. Clara's heart ached at the sight of uncertainty. She remembered those feelings all too well. "Come in, Yuri, just in time," Clara called out, waving her over. The young woman approached cautiously, her hands tucked into the pockets of a worn coat. "I am Anna," she said softly, glancing around. "I heard about the workshop, but I am not sure if I belong here." "You absolutely belong here, Anna. Everyone is welcome, and I promise you'll find joy in this space," Clara reassured her, gesturing to an empty spot at the table. "Would you like to join us?" Anna nodded, her uncertainty slowly giving way to curiosity. Clara guided her through the workshop, sharing tips and encouraging her creativity. As the wreath began to take shape, Clara saw the tension in Anna's shoulders start to ease. By the end of the workshop, the room was filled with laughter and bursts of creativity. Each woman had crafted a unique wreath, a reflection of her spirit and story. Clara felt a sense of fulfillment wash over her, knowing she had created a safe harbor for these women. "Thank you for this, Clara. It means more than I can say," Ruth said, her voice filled with emotion as she admired her completed wreath. "It is my pleasure. Watching you all flourish is the greatest gift of all," Clara replied, feeling a warmth bloom in her heart. As the women left, Clara noticed Anna lingering, her wreath clutched tightly in her hands. "How do you feel about your creation?" Clara asked gently. "I don't know, it feels special," Anna admitted, her eyes glistening. "I didn't expect to enjoy this so much." "It is special, just like you," Clara said, placing a comforting hand on Anna's shoulder. "Remember, this journey is about discovering yourself and what brings you joy." Anna smiled shyly, a flicker of hope ignited in her eyes. "Thank you, Clara. I think I might want to come back." "Please do. You're always welcome here," Clara replied, feeling a sense of purpose swell within her. As the holiday season progressed, Clara's shop became a sanctuary for creativity and connection. However, it wasn't without its challenges. Clara found herself managing an increasing workload, juggling orders, workshops, and community events as the demand for her floral arrangements surged. One evening, she sat alone in her shop, surrounded by half-finished arrangements and unopened invoices. The weight of responsibility pressed heavily on her shoulders, and for the first time since she had embarked on this journey, doubt crept in. "I can do this," Clara whispered to herself, rubbing her temples in frustration. "What was I thinking?" Just then, the bell above the door jingled, and Isabella walked in, her presence immediately lifting Clara's spirits. "Hey, I brought you some cocoa. Thought you could use a break," Isabella said, placing the warm mug in front of Clara. "Thank you, Isabella," Clara replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "I am just overwhelmed. I feel like I am failing at everything." Isabella sat across from her, concern etched on her face. "You're not failing. You're doing something incredible, but it is okay to feel this way. You're human, Clara." "I wanted to make a difference, but I feel like I am drowning," Clara confessed, her heart heavy with the weight of expectations. "What if I can keep it up?" "Remember why you started this. You're here to share your love for flowers and create a community," Isabella reminded her gently. "You don't have to carry it all alone. It is time to ask for help." Clara took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of Isabella's words sink in. "You're right, I need to find balance." Together, they brainstormed ways to streamline the workflow in the shop, hiring additional help, delegating tasks, and creating a more structured schedule. Clara realized that opening up and letting others share the load didn't take away from her achievements, it enhanced them. As the holidays approached, Clara implemented their new plan. She welcomed 2 more part-time employees, each bringing unique skills and fresh energy. The shop buzzed with activity, laughter, and camaraderie. Clara felt the weight lifting, replaced by a sense of collaboration and community. One evening, as they decorated the shop for a holiday celebration, Clara turned to her team. "I couldn't have done this without all of you. Thank you for believing in my vision." "You inspire us, Clara," one of her employees replied, a bright smile illuminating her face. "We were proud to be part of this journey." The holiday celebration drew the entire town, filling the shop with laughter, joy, and festive spirit. As Clara watched the women who had found solace in her workshops connect with one another, her heart swelled with gratitude. "Clara, this is incredible," Ruth exclaimed, her eyes wide with amazement as she took in the decorations. "You've created something beautiful here." "It is not just me, it is all of us," Clara replied, her voice filled with emotion. "We've built this community together." As the evening unfolded, Clara took a moment to step outside. The world was adorned in a blanket of snow, and the stars twinkled above, reflecting the light of hope that now filled her heart. "Thomas, I wish you could see this," Clara whispered to the night sky, tears glistening in her eyes. "I hope you know that your love lives on in the lives we touch." Feeling a rush of warmth, Clara returned to the shop, surrounded by laughter and joy. She was no longer just the widow from Eldridge. She was a woman who had risen from the ashes of her grief, embodying the spirit of resilience and kindness. In the months that followed, Clara continued to nurture her community, pushing past the limits of her former self. She initiated projects that supported not only the widows but anyone struggling in their journey. She organized a fundraiser for a local shelter, created art installations, and donated portions of her profits to causes dear to her heart. Each initiative reflected the lessons she had learned, that strength flourishes in the face of adversity, and kindness has the power to heal. One sunny afternoon, Clara found herself at the local park, surrounded by friends, families, and the beautiful floral arrangements she had created for the event. As she glanced around, she noticed Anna, now confidently participating in the activities, her laughter ringing out like music. "Clara!" Anna called, rushing over. "Thank you for believing in me. I can't believe how far I've come." Clara's heart swelled with pride. "You've done all the work, Anna. You found your light." The conversation was interrupted by a group of children running by, giggling and playing. Clara watched them, her heart full. She realized that hope was alive and thriving in Eldridge, a tapestry woven from the stories of countless individuals finding their way. As day turned to dusk, Clara stood before her community, her voice steady. "Thank you all for being here. We've created something beautiful together, not just with flowers, but with love." Part 4, blossoming into the future. The winter chill began to recede, and with it, Clara sensed a shift in the air. Promise of spring hung just beyond the horizon, bringing with it vibrant colors and the scent of new beginnings. As she stood in her flower shop, arranging delicate tulips and cheerful daffodils, Clara felt a renewed sense of purpose. The town of Eldridge had begun to see her not just as a widow, but as a leader, a beacon of hope for many. In the wake of the holiday celebration, Clara had received an influx of new participants in her workshops, and her small shop had transformed into a hub of creativity and resilience. Each woman who walked through her door carried her own story, and Clara was determined to help them weave their pain into something beautiful. One morning, as Clara set up for another floral workshop, she noticed Anna entering with a few other women. Anna's confidence had blossomed since she first joined Clara's workshops, and her smile lit up the room. "Good morning, everyone," Clara greeted, her heart swelling with joy. "Today, we were going to create spring bouquets that tell our stories." The women gathered, eager to learn and share. Clara moved among them, offering guidance and encouragement, but also allowing space for their individual creativity to flourish. She found that the act of arranging flowers was therapeutic, a way to express emotions that words sometimes fail to capture. "Clara, have you been thinking?" Anna said, her hands deftly arranging stargazer lilies and white daisies. "What if we take our workshops into the community? We could share what we've learned with even more people." Clara paused, the idea blooming in her mind like the flowers they were arranging. "That is a wonderful thought, Anna. We could host a community flower festival, where everyone can come together to create and celebrate." The women around her buzzed with excitement, their spirits rising at the possibility. Clara could see the transformation in them. These were no longer just women brought together by loss. They were a community of strength, sharing their journeys with one another. As they began planning the festival, Clara faced unexpected challenges. There were logistical hurdles to overcome, securing a venue, organizing supplies, and coordinating with local businesses. Each step forward seemed to be met with resistance, and Clara sometimes felt the weight of the world resting heavily on her shoulders. One evening, after a long day of planning, Clara sat at her kitchen table, staring at the piles of paperwork and feeling overwhelmed. "What if no one shows up?" she muttered, dragging her fingers through her hair. "What if we fail?" Just then, the doorbell rang. It was Isabella, her ever-supportive friend, carrying a basket filled with freshly baked cookies. "I brought you a little pick-me-up," she said, a smile lighting up her face. "I thought you could use it." Clara couldn't help but smile back. "Thank you, Isabella. I am feeling a bit lost with all the planning. There is so much to do, and I am scared of falling short." "Clara, you are not alone in this. You have an entire community behind you," Isabella reassured her, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Remember, every great endeavor starts with a vision. You've inspired so many already. Trust in that." Taking a deep breath, Clara felt a flicker of hope igniting within her. "You're right, I've come this far. I just need to keep pushing forward." With Isabella's encouragement, Clara poured all her energy into the festival preparations. The excitement in the air was palpable as the event approached. The shop buzzed with activity as women volunteered to help, and Clara marveled at how far they had come together. Finally, the day of the Community Flower Festival arrived. Clara stood at the entrance to the park, her heart pounding with anticipation. Colorful tents flanked the walkway, decorated with blooms of every shade. Laughter echoed through the air as families and friends gathered, admiring the vibrant displays. Clara watched as the women she had mentored welcomed guests, guiding them through the art of flower arranging. The sight filled her with pride. Together, they had transformed their grief into a celebration of life and joy. "Clara, look," Anna called out, pointing to a group of children who were eagerly crafting their own flower crowns. "They're having so much fun." Clara's heart melted at the sight. "It is beautiful to see everyone come together like this," she said, tears of joy prickling at the corners of her eyes. As the day unfolded, Clara took a moment to reflect on her journey. She had not only found strength in herself, but she had also fostered a community that uplifted and empowered one another. The festival was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, and Clara felt the warmth wash over her. "Clara," a familiar voice interrupted her thoughts. It was Ruth, carrying an armful of colorful arrangements. "We did it. Look how many people are here." Clara beamed at her. "Yes, this is incredible. I can't believe how many lives we're retouching today." As the sun began to set, Clara found herself on a small stage, ready to speak to the crowd. Her heart raced as she looked out at the sea of smiling faces, reflecting the joy and hope they had created together. "Thank you all for being here today," Clara began, her voice steady. "This festival is a celebration of our stories, our resilience, and our community. Each flower here represents not just beauty, but the strength we carry within us." The crowd erupted in applause, and Clara felt a sense of belonging envelop her. "Together, we can create something beautiful even in the darkest times. Let us continue to support one another as we bloom into our best selves." As she spoke, Clara's mind wandered to Thomas, wishing he could witness this moment. She felt his love surrounding her, a gentle reminder that she had turned her grief into something meaningful. She was no longer just surviving, she was thriving. As the festival came to a close, Clara stood surrounded by her friends and the women she had helped inspire. They shared stories, laughter, and dreams for the future. Clara realized that their journeys were intertwined, each of them a unique thread in the fabric of their community. "Clara, we couldn't have done this without you," Anna said, her eyes shining with gratitude. "You've helped us all find our voices again." Clara smiled, her heart swelling with warmth. "And you've all helped me find mine. Together, we'll all continue to lift each other up." As the last guest departed, Clara took a moment to breathe in the night air, filled with the scent of fresh blooms and the sounds of laughter echoing in her heart. She had fought through the shadows of her grief to find light, and in doing so, she had created a sanctuary for others. Months passed, and the Community Flower Festival became an annual tradition, each year growing in size and spirit. Clara's shop flourished, but more importantly, it had become a place where stories were shared and bonds were formed. Women who had once felt lost now came together to lift one another up, creating a network of support and love. One evening, while closing the shop, Clara received a message from Isabella. "Let us meet for coffee. I have something exciting to share." Curiosity piqued, Clara met Isabella at their favorite cafe. As they settled into a cozy corner, Isabella leaned forward, her eyes sparkling. "I've been thinking about how far you've come, Clara. You've built something extraordinary." Clara felt a blush rise to her cheeks. "It's all of us together. I couldn't have done it without the community." "Exactly, and I believe it is time to take this to the next level," Isabella said, her excitement palpable. "What if we expand your workshops into a formal program offering mentorship to other widows, helping them find their own paths?" Clara's heart raced at the thought. "You really think we could do that?" Isabella nodded emphatically. "Absolutely, you have the experience and the passion. We could make a real difference." The seed of an idea took root in Clara's heart. "I love it. Together, we can create a program that empowers others to grow and heal." Over the next few months, Clara and Isabella worked tirelessly to establish the mentorship program. They reached out to local organizations and secured partnerships with community centers. Clara's vision was coming to life, and the anticipation filled her with excitement. When the program launched, the response was overwhelming. Women from all walks of life signed up, eager to share their experiences and learn from one another. Clara stood before the group, her heart racing with a mix of excitement and nerves. Welcome, everyone. I am so grateful you're here. This program is about more than just floral arrangements. It is about finding your voice and reclaiming your story, Clara said, her voice steady as she met their hopeful gazes. As the weeks unfolded, Clara watched as each woman began to blossom. They shared their fears, their dreams, and their journey toward healing. Clara felt a deep sense of purpose as she guided them, drawing from her own experiences of loss and resilience. One evening, as Clara prepared for a workshop, she received a visit from Ruth. Clara, I just wanted to say how much this program has changed my life. I've started my own small business, and I never would have had the courage without your support. Clara's heart